This week, we're going to continue to look at this first part of the research process, collecting information. We're going to look at how do you determine what you want to measure, how you're going to measure it, and how are you going to write surveys. So we're focusing on collecting information so that we will collect the right information and then process the information and then communicate the information to others. Now, as we reflect on this research process, the research process is best done when you've got some type of social support. And I would say that social support is essential for good research so that you'll be encouraged by other people to work through things, so that if you can ask others if you've got problems, just so that you won't be alone and discouraged as you go through the process. Now, I'd like to suggest 3 ideas, somewhat random, for developing social support, because we live in a very strange period of history where people, in a sense, are getting farther and farther and farther away from each other because of all of the electronic mediated communication. So, the first thing that I'd like to propose is that we should avoid supernormal stimuli that reduce our felt needs for others. Now, what do I mean by supernormal stimuli? The way that we're designed is that we respond to different stimuli. And we respond that way so that our needs will be met, so that things will go well for us, for our families, for our relationships. And this is a characteristic of all of life. This concept of supernatural stimuli was developed by a Nobel Prize winner who studied birds. And he noticed that in some species of birds, the mother bird would give the priority and pay the most attention to the larger eggs that she had laid. So if she had laid like 3 eggs and she could only cover 2, she would cover the top 2. So the researcher said, well, what if I make an enormous egg that looks like an egg but much larger? And he did it out of plaster. And sure enough, this species of bird saw the large egg, which was a stimulus for her, and she gave all of her attention to try to hatch the large piece of plaster painted to make an egg. And he found that this phenomena occurred with all kinds of animals. Their brain is designed to respond to certain types of stimuli, and if you make artificial stimuli that are even stronger than the natural ones, they'll respond more to the supernormal stimuli than the regular ones. And humans are the same way. And so we have created all kinds of things in media that are more whatever than real life. And one of the difficulties, one of the problems that's developing, is that we use media to meet our social needs. We think we're designed to interact with people and to weigh their opinions and get their input from a close set of friends. And instead, we're using television programs where we watch people interact with others rather than actually interact with them, where we look for social approval through points rather than through people wanting to spend time with us. And there's all kinds of supernormal stimuli. I encourage you to Google supernatural stimuli, and there's all kinds of interesting phenomena that exist in modern society that distract us from the way that we've been designed to work. A second suggestion for developing social support is do heroic things. We live in a world where we want to so protect ourselves from any type of rejection or criticism that we don't interact with people very much anymore. We don't go out to help people. We don't go out and invest ourselves in their lives or say that we want to spend time with people and make ourselves open and vulnerable. And I want to encourage you to do that, to get involved in people's lives. Even when it's costly, and it could go bad, and sometimes it will go bad, but not always, and you will develop good friends. And then a third thing is to make sure when you're dealing with life's problems to solve them with a group of close friends. Have a group of friends that you can depend on who have your best interests at heart and who can give you advice when you're considering how to do things. Well, now, how do you get a group of friends like that? Well, there's a lot of ways of doing that. Um, but I found that the best way is through small group Bible studies, getting together with people, looking at God's word, trying to figure out life's problems, and praying and supporting each other. That is just for, I don't know, the last 40 years. That's been a real crucial part of my life. And people who are in small group Bible studies um, find that's the one of the main values of them. So I encourage you to get involved with some group of people that are meeting together to love one another and to look at God's word. So these are some ways to develop social support. And the more social support you have, the easier it is to do research because it'll help you get through the difficult times. The social support might be the team you're working on. The social support might be completely separate from your research project. But the more social support you have, the more persistent you'll be.